Welcome to day 10 of my craft room clear out series, where I use my stamp sets one last time before I say goodbye. I'm Sarah Jane from Cards and a Cuppa, and today we're going to make a shaker card using this lovely pun intended stamp set, which was a hostess set. And it comes with some great images, as you can see, and we're going to use the light bulb one today, although I do love the camera and the bee. We're going to make the card in a colour combination of mint macaron and basic black, and I've got some of this lovely hexagon designer series paper out of the little paper pad here. This is long since retired, unfortunately, but I have used quite a lot of the images. So we're making a square card today because I think a shaker card is often, it works well as a decent sized card, so a nice square 14.8 centimetre card base, which is the biggest you can get out of an A4 sheet of card. So cut at 14.8 and then score at 14.8, and then the basic black card layer, that will be 5mm smaller, so 14.3 centimetres square, and then the designer series paper, that will be 13.8 centimetres square. So again, a 5mm border. And then I'm going to stick that to the black card first, because that needs time to dry. We don't want to gum up our dies. That out the way. And then, so for the cutout section, I've decided to use the Starburst Framelits dies, and I'm going to use the middle-sized die, and I'm going to position that slightly up from the centre so that I've got space to put either a ribbon or a sentiment down the bottom once it's die cut out. I'm just going to measure that at the side, make sure it's in the centre. Pretty spot on. So trusty post-it note tape, and I'm going to die cut that out now. Okay, you can use this behind the cutout, but because I want to use the light image, I'm gonna stamp that on Whisper White instead. So you need a piece behind the square. It hasn't got to be a perfect shape, but it does need to be larger to accommodate the foam that you're going to have to adhere onto the back. Okay, so the same principle for the acetate. You need to cut a square that is large enough to get a little bit of red line tape around, so not massively bigger, but certainly big enough. So that should be perfect. Hard to see on camera, I expect. And then I'm just going to put some tape around the edge. Doesn't have to, unlike the foam strips, which we're going to use in a minute, doesn't matter if it's not entirely sealed, because this is just the front section. So as long as it's most of the way around to be secure, that's perfectly fine. So I find red line tape is the best for this to stick acetate on. I used to get mine at craft shows. Not sure. I'm sure if you Google red line tape for crafting, there'll be some supplier that will post it to you though. Any sort of good strong double-sided tape that is not too thick in depth will be okay. So I'm just going to stick that onto there. I'm going to just wipe that off on my trousers first, actually, make sure there's no dust on it. Stick that onto the tape layer, and then I'm going to stamp the image next. So I need to think about where it's going to go, because I don't want it too low. With the clear mat steps, you can also use a foam mat to get a crisper image. So we'll try that today. I think I'm going to do that in black memento ink. I'm going to tuck my mat under my grid paper so that I don't get ink on it. I'm going to stamp it sideways. Lovely. And so this is a brand new stamp, so it has got a bit of a little bit there where it hasn't stamped properly. So you can just get a blender pen, dab it into your ink pad, and colour in any sections that haven't stamped particularly well. I'm sure if I stamped it again it would be fine, but you don't have to. You can just colour it in. Another reason you need blender pens. So I'll pop that away, and then I'm going to get my Stampin' Blends, and I'm just going to use the lightest Daffodil Delight to go around the image, the sentiment on the image, just to give it a little highlight. And then let's see how that looks positioned behind the hole. Yeah, that seems about right. It's not overhanging at the top, so I don't need to trim the top. The hard bit is going to be, I think what I'll have to do is put the foam pads around the edge first, and I do have some strip ones, which makes this a bit easier. So you need to get these quite close to the edge of the cutout section, but not so close that you'll see them easily. And it has to be completely sealed up when you've finished. Otherwise your sequins are going to go everywhere. I did snip that, but it hasn't cut properly. It's still too long though, but that's okay. You can trim that. So butt that right up against it, and then trim that there like that. Let's get rid of this mat. And then because my stamped, if it was just a plain background, you would normally put your sequins in there and then just stick your image or your like, for example, this on a piece of larger card in the background. But because it's got an image on it that we need to center, what we're going to have to do is put the sequins on the flat section here. So pop the sequins on the flat bit here to make sure that they're in the right place. And I've got some black, some iridescent, and some silver to go in here. You need to be fairly generous, I think. Some will stick to the sides as you're shaking, but you don't want too many that they pull at the bottom too much. So as well as the around the edges, you also need to add foam pads, because once you stick this onto the card base, the rest of the card will need to be supported. So I'm just going to do this now, so I'm not trying to work around the piece of card underneath. I'm going to take the backing off this bit. And these, just in case the white card here covers it. This possibly may get stuck as well. It will all have to come off eventually, but just anything that may stick to that white as we're putting it on. And so I'm going to pop that there like that. You can see the bottom of the image like that. Position that in the center, stick it on. And then we have our shaker card. Now let's find our mint macaron base. So I will make this a top folding card. I think I'd like a bit of ribbon or twine at the bottom and one of the sentiments. So what are the sentiments? Let's have a look on the box. It'll be easier to read. How about I love you or what? Isn't that cute? So let's find that. I love you or what? I'm going to stamp that onto mint macaron again. Use this little offcut that we had. I'm stamping that out. And again, I'm going to do that in black to stick with the black and mint theme. And then I'm going to punch that out with the circle punch. That's not too big enough, I don't think. Oh yeah. So that's 1 1/8 of an inch. And that sort of fits with the starburst as well. And then I'm going to add a layer using this offcut, using the 1 3/8 of an inch punch. It's quite thick. There we go. Let's stick that on with a dimensional. And find some mint coloured ribbon. So I'm going to add this ribbon, but I'm not going to tie a bow or anything with it. I'm just going to use it as a strip across the bottom. So I'm just going to cut it slightly longer than the top layer. With this mat again. I'm going to add some more red line tape across the front. I'm going to use the paper as a guide, hopefully, to get it straight. Hang the ends. Take off this backing, fold it around the foam pads. And then add the ribbon to this tape. Resting it gently so that it doesn't stick to the paper background. Add that on, tuck it around, trim the end off. And then pop that on. I'm going to use some of the Ranger multi-medium matte so that the card sticks onto the ribbon well. And then all that's left to do is to take off this backing and add it onto our card base. I'm going to add a bit of glue on the large flat section to secure it. Make sure our card base is the right way round. I've done that before. Stick that onto the card base. And there's our black and mint shaker card, all done. So that's today's card using pun intended. We've made a cute little shaker card using the light bulb image in a mint macaron and basic black colourway. Don't forget to subscribe to my YouTube channel and like my videos, and follow me on social media. I'm on Instagram and Facebook as Cards and a Cuppa, and you can follow along and see what else I make as I'm clearing out my craft room. Thanks for watching.